And we're live. Hello, Shannan Lewis-Blair.
Lady D, my dear, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm always saying, somebody asks, how you doing? I'm like, one day at a time. Today I'm alive, I'm in the Bronx.
Exactly.
Right? I'm alive and I'm in the Bronx. And I'd like to welcome you to Inside the Zone with Lady D, Denise Gomez, aired on Linkage Radio 104.5, 101.7, 88.9, 90.1. And this segment means a great deal to me and to persons who are closely associated with you, to your family, to your friends. And the segment is called Reborn.
Indeed.
I coined that because of the snippet that you sent me, and I said yes, it's indeed a moment when she is reborn. And I'd like to welcome those who are tuning in via Facebook Live. You are also streaming with me this evening on Linkage Radio on the YouTube channel, and my guest this evening is Shannan Lewis-Blair, and she will be sharing about her journey that most of us had the privilege to see and to even feel some empathy and to pray and to see the journey as it unfolded and where she is today. What can I say to you, Shannan? My 3 words when I think of you: resilient through Christ. And it's certainly...
That's it. Through Christ.
Yes, through Christ. That's the operative word right there, right? 2 words,
Exactly.
through Christ. So I'd like to welcome you to my platform, and I invite you to say hello to those who are listening on Linkage Radio and across the broadcasting spectrums that are with me, as well as your family, your friends, and people who just know you like that.
Yes. Well, it really is an honor, and I just give you thanks for providing this platform for me to share. So I thank you so very much for being, in fact, one of the first ones, apart from my pastor's wife, who had me on her talk show twice. But you are the first who are giving me this platform to really share what the Lord has done and the amazing blessings that have unfolded. I also want to take this time to publicly acknowledge and give honor to my mother, Joyce Lewis, my sister, Alecia Lewis, who is also my donor, Alecia Lewis, and my brother, Othniel Lewis, who without them I could not have done this. My wonderful children, Chanel and Daniel, but also to give special honor to my spiritual covering, my pastors, Marvin and Deborah Jackson of the River of Life Christian Center in Orlando, and my worship leaders, LaRue Howard and Anthony Jenkins, and all the people who saw it fit to walk alongside me in this journey. This is not a Shannan story. This is a God story, and He used amazing people to step up and walk with me through this journey. So I give Him thanks, and I honor all of those who chose to do that with me.
Oh, thank you so much, and that's a blessing. And they are indeed in your corner.
Yes.
You have, as a matter of fact, you connected me to Alecia and to your brother, both of whom I had interviews with. And it's interesting. Here we are having our own interview this evening.
Yes. Nothing happens before its time.
Absolutely, full circle.
Yes.
The diagnosis, share that with us.
It came as a shock. It came as a shock because I had no real symptoms that would indicate that I had cancer. To really make it brief, I went through the December of 2016 with bronchitis, and it just wouldn't get better. And so as the new year unfolded, I was having difficulty breathing one morning and basically ended up in the emergency room thinking that my bronchitis had turned into pneumonia. Thankfully, they did all the necessary checks, they did all the blood work, and came back with the shocking news that I had lymphoma leukemia. My sister, who was sitting with me in the emergency room, was like, no, we're not accepting this. Daddy already went through this because my father, the late Reverend Eric Lewis, died at 42 from lymphoma. And so that was the initial reaction. No, Daddy already took this blow for the family. We're not doing this. But something happened to me in that emergency room that night of January 10th, 2017. I said to God, okay, if this is something that you have ordained as a part of my life story, I will do it. Lady D, in that moment, I had a choice. I had a choice as to whether or not I was going to become a victim or a victor. And believe you me when I tell you that night, as the reality began to sink in, that I was not going home that evening. I went to work the morning, and the night I was diagnosed with lymphoma leukemia. Once that reality began to sink in, something happened in me. And I like to call it, my memory went all the way back to childhood. And I said to myself, this is what it was all about. Every Sunday school class, every youth camp, every choir rehearsal, every time I ministered, every convention, every crusade, every vacation. I began to call forth everything that had been deposited. And I said, Shannan, it is for this time. And that night I decided, I'm going to do this. And I said, God, I just want you to get all kinds of glory out of it. I chose not to be a victim.
Yes.
And even though I knew it was going to be very devastating, because the doctor said, listen, we're not dealing with two kittens here. We're dealing with two tigers. In other words, it was serious. This is not like regular cancer. If you're going to get cancer, this is not the kind to get.
Yes.
And in fact, at that very first night, many of the doctors who came to see me said to me, where are you from? And I thought that question to be strange. And it turns out that this particular kind of cancer originates from the Caribbean islands and the Asian islands, which means this was always in my system. It was a blood cancer, and it was always in my system. But this was the time that it happened. And I said, God, you are obviously aware of what this is here for. And so I submitted. I am telling you, the faith in me rose up like a sleeping giant. And I submitted to the process.
Yes.
And I said, okay, God, this is not what I would have wanted. However, since you have chosen this, I will walk the path, but get all kinds of glory out of this. And that's how I started the journey.
My goodness. And for those who are listening and they're not too sure what this cancer is, about, could you just give a quick definition of it for them?
Basically, it's a blood cancer. It's a blood cancer because leukemia is a blood cancer. And apparently it has been in the system, but it was triggered. For whatever reason, it could have been the bronchitis, it could have been stress, it could have been so many reasons why it was triggered now. And when I say it's a different kind of cancer, because it affects the blood, the white blood cells was the thing that caused us to realize we've got a major situation on our hands. Because I had no symptoms, I was asymptomatic. And if I did not have the bronchitis, I probably would have been living with fatigue, not realizing that something was really happening. My white blood cells were through the roof. And that is how they realized this is serious and we have to attack it aggressively.
Yes. So that was day one.
That was day one.
Share day two and going forward.
Oh my goodness. When I realized, okay, this is really happening to me, because at first it felt surreal. Once I realized that, because mind you, just to give you a backdrop, I was a university professor, and so I was the admissions counselor as well as undergraduate adjunct professor at Palm Beach Atlantic University. So I taught my students the Monday night, and Tuesday morning I got a feeling weird. So I had no symptoms. reality hit me that life as I knew it just changed completely upside down.
Oh boy.
The reality began to hit me, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It could mean death.
Yes.
Because it's serious. It was serious. But I was also cognizant of the fact that God had placed things inside of me that hadn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew in those first few days, as I had to have those conversations with myself, that I had to begin to think about, one, what the Word of God says, two, what I envisioned my purpose to be, and three, I have two children.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, we lost our father when we were young teens. I had just turned 17 when I lost my dad. And I said, God, if for no other reason, remember my son and my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked God, I said, listen, if you're going to do this, let these be the best weeks, the best months, the best years of my life, because I want to make sure I can position my children for the world in which they are growing up in and for the kingdom and kingdom purpose.
Yes.
So those first few days, that's where my thinking was.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about medication. I wasn't thinking about how am I going to pay for this. I was thinking, I've got two kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I have purpose that has not yet been fulfilled. So I had to wrap my mind around that. And I had to find the strength within.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, it was nothing but the grace of God.
Yes.
Sometimes I look back and I'm like, Shannan, how did you do this? Nothing but the grace of God. But he did. And that, I'm telling you, each week as I met with each doctor, and they told me, okay, this is what we're going to probably have to do.
Yes.
From the very beginning, they said, because of the kind of cancer, chemotherapy and radiation will not be adequate. You're going to have to get a bone marrow transplant.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I didn't want to do it because a bone marrow transplant was going to possibly mean me having to rely on a family member to be a donor, and I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But from the very beginning, they said in order to have a better chance of knocking it out completely and extending life, that was the key part.
Yes.
Extending life. Because any way you take it, this was sent to take me out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I said, okay, God, I'll do it. And if you don't want to do, because initially people were praying, let's have a miracle. God, we need a miracle. We need a miracle. And from the very beginning, God said, no, you're going to walk through the entire journey.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was not going to be a snap of the finger, and God did it, and she's miraculously, supernaturally healed. I knew from the beginning, God said, I can trust you with this to walk through the entire process.
With you. Oh my goodness. We are so captivated with just this snippet of it. Now, I know that for most of us who are friends with you on Facebook, you were just unfolding the journey, hair loss. What was that like? I mean, some days you just expressed that you were not feeling well. Today was just not a good day. And that's what I appreciated, because it could not have been a good day for most days. But you're a woman of faith, and you decided that this is the path that God chose, so he has to be there for you. Tell us about, because for women, our hair is our crown and glory. What was that like for you to have experienced hair loss, and you're going every day and you're not feeling well?
I'm glad you asked that, because let me just keep it real. I'm a girly girl. If you saw my photos before,
yes.
I'm telling you, I am a girly girl, and my girlfriend's like, you so vain. I'm like, yes, I'm vain, but Jesus paid it all, and we got it covered. But so that part was hard, and when I found that the Lord was nudging me about sharing candidly and being transparent, I was like, God, are you kidding me? I have always been the kind of person who, if I'm going to do a Facebook video, I make sure I'm properly made up and I have the lightings and everything all right.
Yes.
And he said, because I want you to show the real, raw experience. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he said to me was, I can use you to do this because you will speak about it. Many times when believers get sick, they get silent.
Yes.
They shut down. They shut off. They become secretive. They don't get support. And so God is unable to show forth his goodness and his glory.
Yes.
But he said, if you go ahead and share this journey, the ugly parts, the yucky parts,
Yes.
the messy parts, the miserable parts, the stressful parts, not just the glory, hallelujah parts. People will get to understand that I am God even in the midst of the mess.
Yes.
I am God even in the midst of the moments when you realize, oh my God, I had hair last week, and I'm telling you, the hair literally went like this. And it was like, dear Jesus, have mercy, dear God Almighty, this is really happening.
Right.
I'm like, I was sitting in my sister's living room the afternoon when I had hair on my head. I had a nice style that my stylist gave me, and I literally just scratched the front of my head and wiped my head, and I heard Ali say, Jesus, 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 Jesus. I said, what happened? She said, Shannan, your head.
Oh,
and when I looked, I realized it came all off. It just came off, and I realized that I was balding underneath all of that. And so to go through the raw parts where I lost it, hair all over, on some days I was so bloated from chemotherapy, because when I was in the hospital for chemo, it was days and days and days of chemotherapy. When I saw my skin changing, and the worst part was after transplant, because after transplant, funny enough, that was the worst part of the journey, because you're watching yourself being reborn. Oh my God.
Yes.
Skin changing, nails changing. It was frightening and fascinating all at the same time. So that part was really hard because I'm a girly girl.
Yes.
But I had to, like, once again, submit and say, God, if this is how you're going to get your glory, flesh, come under subjection and let Christ be seen in the midst of what I call this ugliness.
Yes.
Because the beauty of Jesus was being seen whether I liked it or not, whether I saw it or not. Because I was hearing from people from Japan and from Africa and from Canada and from other churches and people who were dealing with their own cancer journeys and had given up, and they're like, oh my God, watching you do this, I want to do this.
Yes.
So I recognized that even though I was being inconvenienced and I was being put out there to be so transparent in a raw, ugly way,
yes,
God was doing his thing. Lives were being impacted. Lives were being touched. And ultimately, that's what mattered.
Let's talk about your donor.
Ali. Oh, Jesus. When we got to August of 2017 and they said there's no more leukemia found in your body, after they did the bone marrow biopsy and there was no leukemia found, the doctor said it's time. We have a window of opportunity to do a transplant. They had checked both of my siblings to determine if either was a match. And to God be the glory, my sister Alecia was a match. And so we knew that when the time came, her body would have to be prepped for that process, because her body would need to be primed to develop adequate cells, because basically what the transplant is harvesting of her cells and giving it to me. So killing all of my cells, I had to go through radiation and chemotherapy to kill all my cells before transplant. And on the day of transplant, they harvested her cells for several hours and then brought those cells to me. Without Alecia, I probably would not be here, because we now have the same DNA. Now share the same DNA. So I mean, we were close before. Now we're really close, you know. And so I give God thanks that He was sovereign enough to plan this ahead of time. Because the sad part, Lady D, is this: many people who go through this journey in minority communities die sooner than they need to, because there are not enough people who are registered as bone marrow donors. But in our community, we're so scared. And so what we don't realize is that there are over 70 diseases that can be treated with a bone marrow transplant. And so when my doctors were afraid for me, because they said many times it's hard
goodness. I remember seeing a photograph posted on the Facebook with both of you next to each other. And, you know, it was really, really a heart-warming experience, at least for me, seeing you go through this. Because, yes, we can go back to your profile pictures and all of that, and we see you just being all, you know, fabulous and thing. And then when I realized you had also lost weight.
I went down to 107 pounds.
Yes, you lost weight, and I noticed that you had to be wearing your long-sleeved tops. You know, tell us a little bit about that as well.
In fact, I still have to wear long sleeves because one of the side effects of doing a transplant is your skin, you become a baby again.
Yes.
So like right now, I have to get, periodically, I have to go in to get back all my baby immunization shots. And my skin is still considered very sensitive, so I am not allowed to be out in the sun.
Yes.
So I will always have to wear long sleeves and long pants and keep my skin protected because of the cells recognize the difference, and so I have to be very careful. While I don't have many restrictions, there are certain things that I have to do differently, so I can't be around people who are sick because of my immune system. And like I said, I do not expose myself to sunlight, so right now I have to get vitamin D because I'm not allowed to be outside, you know, for a long time. So that's a part of it. A part of it is knowing that this has happened and now you have to make the necessary lifestyle changes and adjustments in order to protect yourself.
Yes.
And that's what I do. That's what I have to do.
Well,
so no more short sleeves and, you know, I mean, yeah, but that's all right, you know, trust me. As long as the beauty of Jesus is being seen and I can still look all that and fab, I'm fine.
Absolutely.
I'm still a girly girl.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes, but I'd like you to, you know, really encourage someone, tell someone about Jesus Christ right now, because they're hearing and they're just caught up into your story. But we each of us have a story, and it's either we have one of two paths, no matter what anybody thinks. We have one of two paths to take, one of two that we'll be going when we leave this earth. And so I want you to just share the good news of Jesus Christ with our listening and viewing audience. Shannan Lewis-Blair, before we wrap up.
I have a track record with the Lord because He has been my daddy all my life. And because of that, I can speak from a place of experience that my salvation is what grounds me. My faith in God is what keeps me. And I can encourage anyone listening that no matter what you are going through, it doesn't matter what it is. The ultimate answer is Jesus Christ. Is a real, authentic relationship with the Lord. Because regardless of what you're going through, whether it's an illness, a diagnosis, an investigation, whatever the turmoil or the trouble, Jesus is the only answer. And if you are going through something right now, know that you don't need to feel shame and stigma about your story. Once you dedicate that story to God and you submit yourself to the process that He's leading you on, know that He will walk you through. There is nothing He can't carry you through. Even when it feels like you are at the end of your rope, He knows when your time is, when your season is, and He can carry you through. I ask you to be encouraged. And if you have a relationship with the Lord and you're struggling right now, let me encourage you. This is the time to tighten up. This is the time to get it right. Yes. This is the time to do the right things right. Because He is the only solid, secure foundation that we have. That's my testimony. That's who my God is.
Shannan Lewis-Blair, reborn. Keep on sharing your story and keep on being the girly girl that you are, and keep on sharing about Jesus Christ, because He's in fact real, and you have really, really brought a deeper perspective of endurance, resilience, and total surrender. So I bless you, my love, and we will always be in touch. Because
Yes,
I'm so privileged that I am the second person to have extended a request for an interview with you. Because you see, sometimes we're all caught up in what we see on social media, not realizing that there is the journey thereafter. When we close our laptops and we close our cell phones and all of that, life is continuing. So I want to bless you, and I thank you so much for joining me inside the zone this evening. We scheduled, we spoke, and now we will be sharing this story to the world. For those of you who are friends of mine on Facebook and YouTube and all that, it's recorded. You will get a chance to hear it again. And if you want to hear it over and over again, so that you too can say, I've had my experience, or Lord, what are you preparing me for? Thank you for joining me, Shannan, and God bless and keep you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, and God bless you as well.
All right. Thank you so much. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen, for the segment Reborn. Shannan Lewis-Blair, Resilient Through Christ. The segment Reborn. I hope that you really, really were touched by her story this evening. And to those of you who were watching via our Facebook Live feed, I want to thank you for joining me this evening. And I'm wrapping up the show right now, so I'd like to say thanks to Cooler Runnings Jamaican Restaurant for sponsoring the show, and to all those who spent the time with me from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It has been my pleasure. Thanks to Touch FM Radio 90.1, Fever FM 97.7, Sun FM 88.9. I want to say blessings to you. And while I'm saying blessings to you, I also have to say, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. As always, love yourselves, love your children, and remember, in everything you do, it is the will of God concerning your life. Blessings to everyone who has it locked with me on the show this evening, Inside the Zone. I'll be back on Monday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with a segment called The Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. Blessings. Mwah. I am out of here.